All right, what's up, everybody? We are live. This is the
This is
Doug just muted himself. Hi, I'm going to speak for Doug because he just muted himself for some reason. Not exactly sure why. There's a mute thing on your screen, Doug. You might have done it accidentally on the screen. As we're off to a roaring start here.
All right.
There we go.
All right. Can everybody hear me?
yes.
All right.
Yes.
I was trying to eliminate because I could hear like some cat scratching or something like that, and
It might be Hudson without headphones, you know. You can't find headphones to put over the head.
So, all right. We are here. We are live, obviously, because already having technical problems.
No, it's not Hudson. How about that? Is it me?
Not me.
I'm good.
All right. Hi there to Eric in the chat room.
Lay down. Lay down.
Hold on a second here.
Rugged Rod is now that we've taken off, he's taken his seat out of the full position, and we're in the flight.
We are taking off.
All right.
Nothing ever changes. Nothing ever changes.
All right, so we are here. This is the what the heck is going on here?
This is the GWF reunion.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. GWF reunion.
So I'm going to put on a Wild West hat.
There you go.
Wow.
How many of these you got?
From the Coliseum.
All right, so I am here. Of course, I am your host, Doug Hummer, and I am being joined by, of course, Rugged Rod Price, the California stud.
Glad to be here.
Yeah. Wild Bill Irwin.
I'm here on demand.
All right. And we appreciate that. Craig Johnson, his closest friends know him as Jon Horton, but if you know him from Global, it's Craig Johnson.
And I'm here on pay-per-view.
Yeah. And Scott Hudson is joining us.
Last but not least.
Where's James Beard?
I don't know. I wish I did know, but
Well, your check must have bounced for him.
We're getting paid?
Maybe a business mama's house.
Yeah. But all right, so we are here. This is the. Can anybody else hear the echo that I'm hearing?
I can hear it.
Oh, we
Very
can
annoying.
all hear it. Unfortunately. I can try muting myself to see if the echo goes away, but I don't think it's me because I usually do a podcast from this place.
Yeah. Yeah. Eric, is there any way? Eric in the chat room, is there any way you can go in and try to fix what's going on? Because you're usually my audio guy.
You've got an audio guy?
Yeah.
Wow. Now, Bill.
I told you there was money somewhere. There had to be money somewhere.
Yeah. No, it's not. He doesn't. He doesn't get paid either.
Wink, wink.
Yeah, after the show, he gets burgers and chips.
Yeah. But all
Did
right.
the Overstreet Chicks bounce again? Is that what it is?
I think that's what happened. So, all right. So we're here to talk some global wrestling. I think he just made it work. All right. So we are here to talk. Eric, you made it work.
Just like global wrestling was. Same shit.
Yeah.
We were actually pretty darn good for what we were doing.
Amen. I agree.
That's how I feel this podcast. That's how I feel this podcast is sometimes.
That old
We're pretty
lady
good
with all the
at
money didn't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as I took the overstreet. But I have never heard anyone give Global Wrestling Federation a rough time from the time that it started until Gray Pearson took over. I mean, the things that we did with the amount of resources that we had, putting on 5 shows a week on ESPN, that was a remarkable feat. And to this day, I don't know how my voice lasted through some of those tapings. I mean, everybody came together. Scott and I somehow had instant chemistry because we both were trying to make Steve Beverly's Lines of the Week. And it was just the most amazing time because you guys, Rod and Bill, you guys worked your butts off to try to entertain what wasn't always the biggest crowd, but you knew the TV cameras were on and you always came to play. And that was always amazing to me.
Well, looking back at some of those tapes, I didn't realize how bad some of those houses were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was sad. I now after watching that reminded me, it was pretty empty there for a while.
I went back and I looked it up, and the smallest house while we were all there was 94 people.
Wow.
In the auditorium.
Thanks for the house, Bill.
Hell of a house. A lot of big people.
Big money.
People. Yeah, taking up all the room. Yeah.
Now, I wanted to kind of start with, and Eric, at least I think I'm echoing, and I think Craig was echoing. I'm not sure. I can kind of hear an echo.
I would just go back and forth, have each one go out and then back in.
Eric, we're live.
Yeah,
I know.
What kind of podcast is this?
Hi, everybody.
I can always mute myself when I'm not talking, which is easy.
Yeah. But I want to kind of start with, and by the way, I appreciate everybody for doing this. Now, I want to kind of start with how global kind of became a thing. And Craig, you were in the USWA at the time, correct?
I was, and actually was around Joe when he was trying to start the darn thing. There was an Olu Oleami. There really was. And we all fell for it, unfortunately. But Joe had some big dreams and unfortunately trusted the wrong people. We somehow got things going. We did it through hard work, and I don't know what the background of the Overstreets were, the people who actually ended up putting the money behind it along with Max Andrews, but that was Joe's passion project. He wanted to make it work. And when I first met with him to talk about Global, I had no idea that he was actually doing it. I knew he was doing some stuff with the USWA. And we just went out to lunch, and he had already picked, and this is what I understand, he had already picked his announcer, and it was probably going to be Chris Cruz. It was not going to be me. But the funny thing was, I had called back when I did the USWA, called Joe and Bonnie out of the blue and just said, hey, I just started this wrestling gig. Am I a half decent announcer? Do I know what I'm doing? And they actually thought that was pretty amazing that somebody would actually be worried if they're doing a good enough job or not, because so many people have so many big heads. So they decided to go with me as the voice of Global, which was a wonderful thing. I took the original job in USWA because I was going to be a summertime replacement for Mark Lawrence, but then he retired, and it ended up being 3 years.
Scott, how did you end up there?
I was doing Georgia television. Back then, it was called Georgia All-Star Wrestling. Joe Pedicino and I were the announce team on that program, and I had done radio for years and years and years in college sports and whatever, and moved to Atlanta. And I've told this story before, so I won't bore you with it. But I said the magic words to Joe, which was, "I'll work for free." And I did. And Steve Prazak and I.
We all did, believe me.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, yes.
We all did.
Still are.
Yes.
But Joe said, "You're hired," and put me on Georgia All-Star. And from day one, it worked. And this was late 1989. And when he had the vision for global, out of nowhere, he said, "Hey, I think I can find a spot for you in this new group." I said, "Sure," thinking it was going to be something in Atlanta. And then he told me that it was in Dallas, and we're going to be flying out every weekend. So that was how that went.
Now, I had read something because I have the Wrestling Observer Complete Collection from '91, July through December edition. And Dave Meltzer had reported in there that Global was actually trying to find a home in Atlanta for you guys because that's where most of you guys work. Was that true?
Yes, that's where the offices were. Out, John will remember going out toward Georgia Tech, out on West Midtown. The offices were there. Ray Stevens was in there. Bill Eady was in there. Joe, John. Oh, help me out, John. I can't remember who all else was there. And all we did in Dallas was television.
Yeah, the Overstreets were the only other people that I remember in there. The lady and I think his name was Danny.
Now, Wild Bill, I'm gonna come to you next because another thing that was talked about in Meltzer's Observer was the office staff when the company first started, and they said that Joe Pedicino was running things, and his office staff was Bill Eady, Christopher Love, and you. Do you remember being part of the office staff in GWF?
I don't remember yesterday, brother. Oh God, I don't remember as far as being like in the office. I think I remember Joe Pedicino, and I don't know what was his girlfriend's name. Anyway, and I remember those other guys, but as far as me being part of the office, I was probably the last one on the end of the stick because maybe I ran around the office and did some finishes or something. But as far as putting any of it together, they did it all out in Georgia and just sent it out.
Yeah.
And I'd be amazed if Wild Bill wouldn't be remembering if he was in an office with Christopher Love, honey.
No, baby. I remember Mr. Love. Yeah.
Now, Bill, how did you end up with Global?
I haven't a clue. Other than the fact that I lived in Dallas, I just lived north of town, and I'd been, every office that came through there, I was there simply, I think, a lot because I'm in town. Maybe I had a certain amount of abilities. We'll leave that up to you, Mr. Price. But so I truthfully don't know that. I don't know, other than the fact that I just, I was hired to come down and work. So,
all right. And Rod, you were splitting your time between Global and Puerto Rico, correct?
Yeah, in fact, I was just finishing up Puerto Rico when Joe started, and I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 months after that I came in, something like that. But yes.
Okay. Let's see. Anyway, Eric's texting me saying he thinks he knows what the issue is, but I'll figure it out later.
Probably right after the show.
Pretty much, yes. That's how I do things. But one of the things I want to talk about, and the last time that Craig and Bill were on the show, back when we were just an audio podcast, we did the GWF Tag Title Tournament. And Craig kind of took over the show as far as, talking about the tournament, which was fine with my brother and I, because it's like we didn't have to talk much. We just let these guys just go. One of the names that I was surprised to see that was supposed to be in the tournament, and he wasn't because he actually no-showed, was Jim Brunzell. Does anybody remember him being scheduled to come in?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't remember that.
I thought he was on the bus with the English lords.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, talking about the English lords, some of the stuff that was talked about, the English lords were the global champions. Who came up with the idea of saying, "Oh, we need new champions because these guys, the English lords, were"?
It wasn't me.
I mean, you told the story so well on television.
Because we improvised that pretty. We knew they were from Barcelona and they were in a terrible car accident. And why they were in Barcelona, I don't know. Because if we're premiering Global Wrestling Federation and they were already in Barcelona defending the tag team titles, I can't remember what their names were. They were something.
I do. It was Sir Charles and the Commoner.
The Commoner. That's right. Those aren't names out of the Shinonamaki Post either. But yeah, we made a backstory and just tried to make it work as best we could. But back in those days, people would make up stories all the time about Phantom titles and such. I didn't feel too bad about it.
Back in those days, they made up stories.
Yeah. Pat Patterson winning the Intercontinental title in Rio de Janeiro.
And Seth Rollins being injured.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he did take a gnarly fall in that match with Cody Rhodes, but
they're all gnarly falls.
Yeah. Well,
isn't that where the Larry Storch Sports Porch is in Gnarly Falls, Wisconsin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But one of the first big angles in the company was the cartel. Who did you guys ever have a definitive plan who the boss was going to be?
Well, I can tell you who they wanted it to be.
Okay,
they wanted it to be Medusa Michelli.
Right, because she was married to Eddie Gilbert at the time, right?
Yeah, but Eddie wasn't involved quite yet. But I know they wanted it to be Medusa. It was never supposed to be Akbar. Trying to remember who else that they tried to get, but Medusa was the one name I do remember.
Okay. And then is it just one of those that all right, we don't know what else to do, so Max, you're up.
Pretty much.
I think that's the way it was. Scott, do you remember any differently?
Nope, that's what it was. I like what John said. I had heard that it was going to be Medusa, and we were going to, break new ground by having a female head of a heel stable, with Scotty and Cactus and Rip and Makan Singh. I don't know why it didn't work or why she couldn't come, but when it was obvious that she wasn't coming, and we were hinting around that it was going to be Akbar. That was what we were trying to lead people to believe, and then there was going to be this swerve that it was going to be Medusa. But when that didn't happen, it had to be somebody. Couldn't be Akbar. We had dropped all the hints in town, so Max was the next logical choice, I guess.
Okay. Now, who exactly was Marco Villas? The guy who came on from Barcelona, Spain, and fired Max Andrews. I was watching that clip earlier.
I don't remember.
I have no idea, but I do remember it was a very bad actor. Maybe the father of the guy who ended up doing Lucha Underground. I don't know.
Yeah. I watched that clip earlier, and I'm just like, okay, Barcelona, Spain. And by the way, Joe Pedicino really did his best to sell this thing. And when he did the gimmick, Scott and Craig were there, and you're interviewing Gary Young, and Joe comes in with the 1970s answering machine, and he's like, "I know who the boss is. Now I did this illegally, but I'm gonna play the tape, even though I shouldn't." Which, he can do whatever he wants because he technically was he was the behind the scenes boss. But he plays the tape, and then you could just see Max Andrews trying to come in and just be like, this was done illegally. You should take it. And then Joe, you could see Craig just, trying to push the button himself to try to play the tape. And then Joe's just like, all right, everybody's talking. I'm going to play this. And then it just becomes, I think Craig was the only one that sold it. It was like, oh my God, it's Max Andrews.
Well, I had worked for the guy for a long time, so I would absolutely recognize the voice.
Yeah.
I think the more interesting story is that many moons later, Scott, Steve, and I were sitting in the Georgia Mountain Center, and Rip Rogers comes out, and the three of us just stand up and went, "You're the boss! You're the boss!" And Rip, on a TV taping, is going, "Kayfabe, kayfabe."
Now, Rod, I'm gonna bring you in on this. You and John Tatum becoming the California connection, then the Coast to Coast connection. Whose idea was it to put you two together?
It had to have been, I think James had a little bit to do with that, and Ack had asked me about it. He said, would you mind tagging with John? I was like, no, it'd be a pleasure. And whoever above that said, yeah, it's a good idea. But Ack was the first one that came to me about it.
Okay. Bill, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ask you about the Wild Bunch. It was you, Black Bart, and Rattlesnake Rates. Where did who was Rattlesnake Rates and who brought him in?
Oh God, Rattlesnake Rates. I'm sure he's still in Dallas.
Oh, there he is.
And I can't remember what his real name was.
I think he was Jeff Rates.
I was going to say, I think it's Jeff Rates. And he was just a middle of the card character. He tried hard, had a good heart, but he just never really got it rolling. And we probably needed somebody to take the falls on, so we brought him in.
Okay.
I don't know. But I remember Rattlesnake Rates, and I think it was because he had. What did he have? A bunch of snake skins and stuff.
He had that cowboy hat with the rattlesnake on it.
Yeah.
Had like the head on.
Well, there's a wonderful picture.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Look at those two good-looking announcers.
Let me tell you a story about Rattlesnake. I was somewhere with Ack, and Ack might have been the sport tournament. Anyway, Ack got a call about Ray, and he was in a strip bar and just going nuts. And a guy called and said, "Hey man, one of your guys down here is just flipping out. Can you come get him?" So Ack and I went down to the strip club. He was up on a table saying, "I'm Rattlesnake Rates. Don't you know who I am?" But that was one of Ack's voice. Ack loved it, man. Maybe because he was nuts, but
well, he was a character, that's for sure. You know, I as I remember, he wasn't that great of a worker.
No.
Look how young you are there. Isn't that amazing?
Boy, good looking guy.
Good looking
What happened?
guy.
What happened?
That was a fantastic team.
You all
I
had
looked it
such
up
great
and-
chemistry. That's what I remember about you two, is because
Yep.
John was so freaking goofy
Yeah.
and you were always so serious. It was the perfect combination. I don't know, Rod, how you didn't laugh all that time. We'd have to
Right.
send for the man you'd be corpsing, according to Matthew. It was just amazing watching you two.
I always said
Look like Jeff Rates passed away in 2002.
Oh,
yeah, you're right. He did.
Had a heart attack. He was only like
Yeah.
not even 40 years old.
Wow.
wow.
Sorry to bring the room down, but
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Too many bumps.
Now, one of the things that it always made me laugh. There was a match between Tatum and Wild Bill, and I think I brought it up on the show before with somebody. And Bill, you had Mr. Lash. You know, your
Lash.
Right? You had your whip, and you were just whipping it around. And John Tatum was running circles around the ring. Okay?
Yeah.
He's running circles around the ring, and you have Craig on the call going, "Watch out!" Like screaming, like "Watch out!" And then because you came this close from hitting John, and then you just see that. What have you called it before, Craig? The
bionic pout.
Yeah. just that face. And that's like because again, like I said, I think before we went on air, Wild Bunch versus Coast to Coast Connection is actually one of my favorite feuds in Global. And Black Bart was such a huge part of that until he turned heel on Bill and hit him with the horseshoe.
Unbelievable.
Which
Can't
still
believe that even happened.
still breaks my heart to this day, by the way.
Oh.
So, Bill, I'm curious, how accurate were you with that whip? Had you been using it for a long time and just kind of learned how to crack it well? Because you did a great job on that.
Well, it's actually I came down to Dallas from Calgary in 1980, and when I came down, I don't know, you just came down into Dallas. I don't know what the deal was and why I ended up buying a whip, other than the fact that, I thought that'd be cool, So I had this whip. I had a whip that I had bought in some cowboy store somewhere. And then, so I had it at the matches, and a guy came up to me. He goes, hey, you want a real whip? And I says, I got one right here. He goes, no, you don't got shit there. I'll get you a real whip. And I says, all right. And he took off. Well, the next week down there at the Sportatorium, this was before, when I was first starting the Wild Bill gimmick and using the whips, he comes back and he's got 3 whips, a set of saddlebags, and what the hell else? That was pretty much it. But there was a 6-foot whip.
Horse?
No horse. A 6-foot whip, an 8-foot whip, and a 10-foot whip, right? And each one of these whips, he was a prison guard. I think it's, Palace? There's a place in Texas not far from Dallas that has a big prison in it. Anyway, doesn't matter. They use these, and I says, where'd you get these whips? Well, I'm a guard at the prison. I says, he says, all the inmates, they make these whips to, sell, and we use them on them when they get in a fight or something, or if they're not, behaving or whatever, they'd use the whips on these guys. And he says, you see down the leather, there'd be a leather, once the whip is braided, down at the end, there'd be a piece of leather about this long and maybe an inch wide. And then on the end of that, there would be this like a string, a nylon string or something And in the string, every inch or so were knots. It was a knot tied, let's say an inch apart, and it'd be about 6 or 8 inches long. That's the cracker. That's what cracks and makes the noise, is that the string, if you will, at the end, cracking. And I says, well, what are the knots for? The knots will bust their skin and make them bleed. And I says, okay. So, and the difference in these whips is that the whip that I had bought and the ones you go buy in the stores and stuff, when you look at them, they're braided from the handle down to the end that cracks, and then there's like 3 or 4 pieces of leather that come together and people tie a string around it, and then they got the little cracker sticking out. Well, it always wears out. And mine, the ones I had, they made me were like, these things were bad, man. They were official. They were braided the other way. So you take the cracker end and you stretch it out. And then you take this leather that's cut at an angle. You cut it at an angle and you got 3 or 4 and they weave them. And they braided them down together. And then when you got so far down, they'd braid it down to 3 and they'd braid all the way down to the handle, tack it on the handle, and then, wind some leather around it so you didn't see it. I still have the 12-foot one in the basement, and it still crack your ass, I'm telling you. Ask James Beard. He don't think I was that good at it.
Thanks for telling that story. I'd always wondered that.
So yeah, when I just, at first I think I started using the 6-foot whip because you pretty much could use it in the ring, right? But it wore out because once you run through the cracker, if you will, the string, it rips through the end of the leather. Then you got to cut that off, put a little slice in there, and you can put another one on. But after so many years, you get down to where there's no more leather piece to attach to, and it's kind of done. So then I moved to the 8-foot one and wore that one out. Now I've still got the 10-foot one down in the basement, hanging up, waiting to use on my grandson. No.
Oh boy. Now, one of the things we can definitely decipher on the show so far is that Bill's internet connection and microphone is perfect because he's the only one that doesn't have sound effects when he's talking.
Of course, baby. Of course.
What a pro.
Yeah.
And I have a podcast microphone. What the hell?
Yeah.
Well, I got a little. Yours is a lot fancier than mine, but I don't know. Oh well. This is what happens when I try to do a show by myself. When I try to do a show without my other 2 co-hosts, they're the brains of the outfit. I want to talk about the Patriot, Del Wilkes, because he was the face for a while. He was the television champion, and then you had him be, or not you guys, because Pedicino and Bill were Pedicino and Bill Eadie were the ones booking it. He ended up being the North American champion. Did they just see something marketable about the Patriot being the face of the organization?
I would think. I mean, Dell had he had everything. Had a body, had a look. I thought, and that was right before whatever that war broke out in Iraq, I guess. But it was good timing, I thought.
Yeah.
Well, it was quite formulaic, Doug. You had, Vince had Hulk, and coming up on the Warrior, big guys, great bodies, jacked up, and he was our version of that. Now the putting him under the hood and the red, white, and blue gimmick. I didn't really understand that part. I got that he was going to be the Patriot and the Patriot missile finish and all that, but I thought because Dell was a great looking guy, he didn't need the hood. It wasn't like he were hiding some ugly guy under there, but that was the gimmick they went with, and it worked because he had runs in WCW and in the WWF. But he was going to be and supposed to be our Hogan, our Sting, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Rod and Bill, you both worked with him. A couple of times. There was back when Global first started, Bill was actually a heel before they went babyface with him.
Right.
And I remember a match where Bill, you worked with Conan Chris Walker and was choking him out with the whip, and Dell came out to make the save because he's
You
the
guys,
guy.
wait, whoa. Did you just watch that video, or do you really remember that?
It's been about 5 years since I've seen it, so I do.
Well, you guys have the advantage. I don't remember. Everybody, who owes your favorite match? Who's the favorite person? You don't have a favorite. But I know that the Patriot was there. I probably did work with him. I remember that he was good in the ring. So that wasn't going to hold him up as far as being the face for the program or anything. Why any of it ever went the way that it did, I don't know. But
I'm such a mark for Global. This might be the first time you guys have actually met somebody that has actually admitted that they're a mark for the GWF.
Oh no, there's a wrestler named Sign Guy, no relation to any of Dudley, but there's this guy named Sign Guy out in the state of Washington who is a huge Global mark.
Last year I was in South Carolina, and you wouldn't believe the amount of Global people that came up, and man, they could tell you every match, every finish. It was amazing, their knowledge and how much love they had for Global, because everyone had the same story. It's like we'd run home from school and turn on Global.
Exactly right.
Yeah, I did this. I did the same thing, and I told the story. I think, Rod, I told this story when you and James Beard were on at the beginning of the year. I had Global on. My dad comes in the room. He turns the TV off. He goes, "What are you watching?" I said, "It's Global Wrestling Federation." And he goes, You already watched WWF and WCW. You don't need any more wrestling." He goes downstairs into his room. I turn the TV back on, and I finish watching the show. He comes back upstairs to make sure that I'm not watching it. So I turn the channel to like Ninja Turtles or something. And he looks to make sure I'm not watching wrestling. I said, "I'm watching Ninja Turtles." Walks out into the other room. I turn Global back. He never caught me.
It was
were you by chance? Were you a Nielsen home?
Oh yeah. It was a little suspect when Chris Champion was on the Ninja Turtles, though. So, Bill, it's kind of funny. You had mentioned you can't remember your favorite match or such. I actually have a favorite match from Global, and I don't think anything even comes a close second to it. And that was Lightning Kid versus Jerry Lynn. It was the match that changed the way I thought of wrestling. And when those two guys went at it in the Global ring, which is not exactly made for acrobatics, but when those two went at it in the Global ring and we were able to show a nationwide audience what people in Minnesota had been knowing about for quite a while, and when Lightning Kid takes off from the top rope and jumps onto the stage, that was the first time I had ever seen any kind of athleticism like that in a pro wrestling ring. So that's the one match that more people talk to me about than just about any other was those two guys. And so we were able to see the birth of two pretty amazing workers right there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Doug, can I tell a quick Sean Waltman story? I'll make it very quick. When we would do television Friday night and Saturday night. So Friday night, when the show was over, we would all go back out to the Roadway Inn where we stayed, and there was next door was a Denny's, right, John? And
That's
we
right.
would get back to the hotel and usually go to the Denny's. And because we hadn't eaten, we're starving to death, and it's midnight. So we go in to the Denny's one Friday night, and it's Sean's 18th birthday. 1, 2, 3 Kid, 6, X-Pac.
Yeah.
It's his 18th birthday. So we, get him whatever he wants, cake, whatever, dinner. And we're over here in one corner of the Denny's celebrating Sean Waltman's birthday. And in the other corner of the Denny's, the only other people in the restaurant was Liza Minnelli and her band, who had just played a show at whatever shed there was in Dallas. So you had Global in one corner and the Liza Minnelli and her orchestra in the other corner. That's one of my favorite Global stories.
I forgot that.
That pretty much
You were there.
sums it up too.
I wonder who drew the bigger house that night.
I think we know, but it's a good question.
And then shooting off of that, we would also go to Hooters on some nights, and every single time we went to Hooters, we let them know it was Chris Walker's birthday. Right. Every single time. But I remember that Chaz came into Hooters carrying his light heavyweight championship belt.
Absolutely.
Working the gimmick.
Now, there's a funny story. I don't know if I told this before about Chris Walker and the birthday. No matter where he went to eat, it was always his birthday, and it wasn't me that was doing it. But eventually he blamed me, and he, Del Wilkes, and I'm trying to remember who the other person was. I was the only guy who had a car there. So they literally said, we're going to go somewhere else tonight after dinner. And I went, okay. And they said, you're going to go right down Greenville Avenue until you get to, I said, why are we going towards my apartment? They go, no, you're going to turn right in here at Park Lane, which is where the $1 Million Saloon was. And I had never been to a strip club. And the three of those guys walked in, and what did they say to the person at the front? Hey, it's Craig Johnson's birthday. Yeah, I never did the Chris Walker thing ever again.
Wow. Now, speaking of Chris Walker, him and Steve Simpson were the tag team champions, or the first tag team champions. And then Chris got the I am so happy that you have all these pictures. So people know what
that was a good team too.
Yeah. And they were a pretty good tag team. One thing I want to tell, and this is a match that I have seen multiple times. They worked with, and I kind of wish Chaz Taylor was on the show, because I brought this up to him before. It was Walker and Simpson versus that was right after they won the titles, right? I think. That was
Scott. That was right after they won. You recognize that guy over there?
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the.
That takes me back.
Yeah,
Global Dome.
The Global Dome.
Yeah.
Great set.
So there was a match. It was Chris and Steve versus Black Bart and Tug Taylor, and Walker pins Tug Taylor, and Black Bart just stands on the apron like this, and then and Tug is waving him in to try to make the save, and Bart's just standing on the apron. Bart goes into the ring. Tug gets mad. Tug, hits him, knocks him down. And the announce team, Scott and Craig, are yelling. They're like, why is Tug Taylor attacking Black Bart? Tug Taylor's the one that got pinned. And I'm yelling at the TV. I'm like, because Bart stood on the apron. Now, little like 5-year-old me would have been probably wondering the same thing. It's like, why did he hit that guy? But I'm watching that a few years ago, and I'm just like, I would have hit him too if he would have just sat on the apron and let me get pinned. Although if Doug can go like this to try to get the guy to come in the ring, there's no reason he can't lift his shoulder up. But Chris and Steve they were a really good team, and then Chris got the call to go to the WWF, and then John and Hollywood, John Tatum and Rod, they got the belts. Was there ever, like, because Steve had to defend the titles by himself in a handicap match, was there ever any talk, do you guys know, about trying to get him another partner?
About getting Steve Sensen a
I
partner?
remember is him trying to get Sean to come in.
Yeah, his brother.
Yeah.
Okay. And it just fell through?
I guess.
It happened later.
Yeah.
Sean came in and
Yeah.
Don and I worked him and Steve a lot, quite a few times, as a matter of fact. I think they got the belts back and we chased them and took them off of them. Then they chased us for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, because I remember, and Rod, that's not the only time that, like, somebody was supposed to defend a title against you and just not show up, so you just got the titles, right?
I scared them all away, man. It did. It happened quite a few times.
Yeah.
They just said, "Hey, you're the champ tonight." I was like, "Yay!"
Quick aside story is that I remember it was one of my first USWA shows, and I remember talking about this. Who's this guy in the audience? He's a pretty big, good-looking guy, and it was Rod making his USWA debut.
Yeah. Yeah, I came out and I was working around the area doing house shows, but no TV. And I have to credit Reggie B. Fine. He took me down, talked with Jarrett and Lawler, and they said, "Hey, you know what? We haven't done this angle in years, so you're going to be the man coming out of the audience." So I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks. I went out there and I was taunted Kerry and build up, and then Jerry told me, I don't want you to jump Kerry until you see him come down your aisle and get on him. And that was the last I was told. So Kerry was doing pictures. No, TV was off, but that was the first time I saw Kerry come down my aisle. So I jumped on him and, meleeed, got carried out, and none of it was on TV.
Well, that's not the only time something like that happened. I don't know if Scott remembers this. I don't think Scott had traveled that week, but there was a match between Sam Houston and Bull Payne.
Mm-hmm.
And they did this whole build-up, had me do this whole build-up about there has to be somebody neutral and big enough to keep Baby Doll and Samantha apart. And the person they chose was me. And what they had was, and this was supposed to be on a non-TV night, but it ended up being on a TV night. But the cameras broke down. There was something wrong with the truck. So they moved the matches around, and this match happened without television. I wish it did have television because I would have loved to have seen it.
Right.
Baby Doll is handcuffed to my left hand. Samantha is handcuffed to my right hand. Now, what's wrong with this? They both have one hand that is free. And since they couldn't get at the wrestlers, they decided that they would rip my suit apart. And I told Pedicino what happened. He went, "Damn it, that was supposed to be the first of our segments of wrestling bloopers and practical jokes. They were supposed to be shooting that because the joke was on you." I went, "Thanks, Joe. Can you buy me a new shirt now, please?"
I think Sam told the story one time that there was like a similar thing that happened. Like that, it was Baby Doll and somebody else, and his father was the one that was handcuffed in the middle. But
that was me. That was definitely me.
Well, no, I'm talking about in a different territory.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, in a different territory. They did like the exact same thing, and it was Grizzly in the middle.
Oh God.
Yeah. Now, another thing I read in my Observer collection here, was there ever talk of Global having a pay-per-view?
Yes.
Hey.
They were talking to HBO actually.
Okay.
And they asked me if I would get my dad involved. Not many people knew about my dad, but my dad was very influential in the motion picture business. To give you an indication of how influential he was, he walked two unknown producers into the Pentagon and then up to the Capitol and said, "Here's our pitch, the greatest recruiting film in the history of the Navy." And the two producers were Jerry Bruckheimer and Don Simpson, and that's how Top Gun was made.
Oh, wow.
Because my dad had handled all the negotiations. So we had actually talked to him about looking into doing a pay-per-view on the deck of an aircraft carrier, and that was going to be the first pay-per-view. But obviously, we didn't have the money to be able to do that. But the conversations had begun to try to do that because we wanted to do it on the deck and make it a spectacular-looking pay-per-view. And, of course, with the Patriot being our big baby face, that would make perfect sense.
Yeah.
Right.
And to piggyback on that, and John can correct me if I'm wrong, it was, as I remember, going to be on the 50th anniversary of Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1991.
I think that sounds right.
That's the date that, and I know Meltzer usually gets criticized for having stuff wrong, but that's the date he had written in the Observer.
I remember that.
So Meltzer got one right.
The thing about the aircraft carrier wasn't well known because obviously I didn't want to put my dad in a bad position there.
Right.
But if anybody could have done it, he would have been able to do it because the military just he handled all the negotiations for any movie that involved the military, or any government agent like the FBI or the CIA, where there had to be official involvement. They came to my dad and he handled all those negotiations. The first time that somebody went around my dad and handled the negotiations was with the Navy. And it was for the Cher music video for If I Could Turn Back Time, where she's in the fishnet catsuit straddling the gun. Right. And that guy lasted one project, I think.
I'm glad he did it, though.
Yeah.
He did good work. He was doing the Lord's work.
Yeah,
that's right.
Now, Craig, you're a karaoke guy, right?
Absolutely. I could go to karaoke tonight, as a matter of fact. There's a place called the Flying Pig here in Cincinnati, which is where I do all my karaoke. I do Springsteen, I do Oasis, I do Green Day.
Now,
and Amy Winehouse every now and then.
Craig, back in the day, that's where I used to pick up my rats.
Now, because you just told that story, are you going to sing Cher's? Are you going to sing that Cher song tonight?
No, because I can't do Cher unless I get the wig on, and nobody wants to see that.
Yeah,
no, definitely.
Not that I was trying to suggest anything, but
oh, please.
But I will tell you another side story. I can do walking in Memphis The Scott Hudson version.
Scott Hudson version.
Interesting.
You wrote
Interesting.
Do it.
Oh,
Put on
God,
my
yeah.
wrestling boots and boarded a plane. Touchdown in the land of the Lawler feuds with Cornette, Kern, and Lane.
I remember that.
Tojo Yamamoto, won't you look down over me? Yeah, I got a front row ticket, but I'm as green as a boy can be. But I'm wrestling in Memphis, teaching all the teenage girls how to squeal. Wrestling in Memphis, but do I wrestle face or wrestle heel?
I remember that. Oh my
I
gosh.
love it. I love it.
That's probably going to be a YouTube short later. But anyway, so another thing I wanted to talk about, and I kind of want to go back to the Wild Bunch, but I want to talk about Black Bart. You know, R.I.P. Black Bart. When he turned babyface, I'll never forget one of his first promos. Bonnie Blackstone did an interview with him, and he goes, and she's like, "Black Bart, why are you here?" Because that was always like the standard question. That's always like what the question the fans ask is like, "Why are you here in the Global Wrestling Federation?" And Black Bart leans in and goes, "Well, I ain't no daggum unfamiliar face." And he just starts shouting into the thing, or shouting in. And then he's like, "You know what? I'm going to go get me a Coca-Cola and some corn chips. And, you know, ain't nothing nobody can daggum do about it." And Bonnie Blackstone is doing this to her ear. How good was Bonnie in interviews?
Barney was the best. She had the innocence of any mark in the world. And you would have thought that, you know, she believed everything. And the thing about Bonnie is she was so nice and so kind to everybody. She and Joe were like my second set of parents when I lived in Atlanta. They were so wonderful. And Bonnie genuinely worked hard on what she did. She made sure that she dressed properly or dressed nicely. She made a lot of her own stuff. And a lot of the creativity, pretty much all the creativity in the later days of Superstar Wrestling was Bonnie. She just took that show under her wing and just made it what she could. I know she's still around. She's still on Facebook, and we see her every now and then. Hadn't changed that much. Just the same old Barney we know and love.
Now, I'm not going to lie. I did actually met, and I've never met the woman. I've never had a conversation with her, but I figured I'd try. And I asked her if she wanted to do this episode. And she just, I don't even know if she actually read the message, because I introduced myself. Craig, I kind of threw your name out there saying I was a friend of yours.
That was your first mistake.
Yeah.
That's why she's not here.
Yeah. But, and I was just, because I opened it up, I said, you know, Miss Blackstone, I actually said, I'm a huge mark for the Global Wrestling Federation. And hoping that we get some kind of response, but it's just like, but I don't even think she actually read that. So I don't know how much she actually goes on Facebook, but yeah, no. So I did try.
Well, I'll say this, Doug. You know, Joe passed on Easter in 2021, I think. And I don't know. I've spoken to her once since then. She's kind of gone radio silent since Joe passed.
Yeah. How good of a boss was Joe Pedicino?
Great
Amazing.
Boss. I can't speak for Rod or Bill because, you know, John and I were friends and we were announcers, but I'll defer to Rod and Bill about how he treated wrestlers, but he was great to us.
Yeah.
Tell me, Bill, how did he treat you?
Well, as I remember, he was always very nice and gracious towards myself. I don't know about everybody else, but he was always nice. Yeah.
Yeah, he always treated me well professionally.
Yeah.
Very, very kind man. Very kind man.
And I honestly think that the best indication of what Joe was like, as far as, pardon me, I just realized there was a Facebook thing that went off. I think the thing that really speaks to the kind of person Joe was is that on the news segment, when Cactus signed with WCW, he genuinely was wishing him good luck as he went to WCW because he wanted the best for everybody. Sure, he wanted to compete, but he wanted to see every single person in that organization get the opportunity they deserved. And so doing something like that on the air, people were shocked, like, why would he do that? Because he genuinely wanted Mick to have a really good career and knew that we'd done as much as we could with him.
Yeah, he just seemed like a really nice guy, and obviously he was a fan. Obviously, from hosting the Pro Wrestling This Week show, so he just seemed like, to be honest with you, like going back and watching old episodes, it's just like, man, what a cool gig that would have been to be a super fan and be the boss.
Well, I guess you could say that about a guy by the name of Tony Khan right now, couldn't you?
Yeah, you can, but I think Joe would actually, like, if somebody started bad mouthing other guys during a presser, I don't think Joe would just sit there.
Yeah, that's true. But but I'll mention another thing. I never got one negative note from Joe the entire time I worked there. Never. Always encouraging. If there was something I could do better, he would tell me, but it wasn't anything negative. It was like, you're doing this really well. Why don't you try this as well? I remember there was one time where I think I said threw the guy out like a bag of garbage. And he actually said to me, he said, think about what it would feel like for somebody to call you a bag of garbage. And I went, that's actually really true. And thank you for mentioning it. He wasn't saying I did anything wrong. He just said, hey, think about it differently. And I always appreciated that about him.
Yeah. Now, Bill, I'm gonna throw it to you for a second. The breakup of the Wild Bunch, which broke my heart, when Black Bart nailed you with the horseshoe. Who came to you and said, okay, guys, we're going to break up the Wild Bunch tonight?
Oh, I got hit with a horseshoe that night. I don't remember anything. My God, man. I don't know. I would think it would have been Akbar. Maybe it was Joe Pedicino and them, but quite frankly, I don't know. We probably went in and sat down with them, and they were just tell us that this is what we want to do. How can we do this? And I don't know. Between Bart, myself, and Akbar, I'm sure we were able to think of, well, just whack him in the head with the damn shoe. But I don't know. I don't know who, just decided to do that.
Do you guys think that maybe it was just one of those, okay, we think Bart would be better used as a heel instead of being a babyface?
Perhaps. Maybe they just wanted to split the talent up in that they needed that,
I think we were short on either baby faces, or I think we were really short on baby faces at one time.
After Dell left, right?
Yeah. Quite a few.
I remember
that would have been after Joe left too, because Dell was still there on my last weekend, and then Joe was only there a couple more weekends after that.
Okay. I remember, and I know this is after the first year, but I got to bring this up. I remember when they tried to turn Rod and John babyface.
Yeah, that lasted about a week.
I was just going to say, I think there was only like the 1 or 2 matches, right?
Yeah, it was horrible. It was horrible.
Like they
I mean,
turned
it
Barry
was-
Young heel and put him with Stephen Dane, and they turned you two babyface because they're going to have Akbar Man and Stephen Dane and Gary Young.
Yeah, and you know, it was a bad idea from the beginning.
Yeah.
And then when it happened, it just exposed what a bad idea this is.
Yeah.
It just that was one of those times you just walk back and go, do I need to move on from this territory?
Yeah.
Speaking of bad ideas, Bill, when Black Bart hit you with a horseshoe, did he just come close?
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, right.
No better.
Black Bart never came close. He always landed.
Now, Craig, you've told the story before about the one storyline you came up with, the winner, Barry Horowitz.
The winner, Barry Horowitz.
Now,
Absolutely.
I do have to say we had Barry Horowitz on a couple of years ago. And,
Where is he?
Florida, I think.
Yeah.
Damn.
And we had him on a couple of years ago, and I brought up the gimmick of the winner. And we had you on not that long before, and I said, oh, yeah, Craig Johnson said how he came up with it. And he said, he goes, I thought that was Eddie's idea.
Eddie trusted me with it.
Yeah.
I to quickly tell the story again for those who don't know, the idea was that Barry would only win one match. And that one match would be the match where he hears the guy who was the ring announcer, Ron Ames, I think his name was, say, here is the winner, Barry Horowitz. And for some reason that would stick in his mind. So he had that tape of his one win of the greatest wins of Barry Horowitz. And the idea was that he would do everything except get his shoulders pinned to the mat. He'd get disqualified. He goes, were my shoulders pinned to the mat? No. Therefore, I must be the winner. Or he'd get counted out. Were my shoulders pinned to the mat? No. Therefore, I must be the winner. And it was going to go on and on until there was going to be a match where there must be a winner. And as soon as he was announced, Horowitz was going to leave the ring and go, see, I'm already the winner. Match over. And that was the way it was supposed to go.
Wow.
Unfortunately, travel schedules became whatever they were, and he eventually became the light heavyweight champion because they needed somebody to take that role. But I always remembered writing that storyline and Eddie just shaking his head going, oh, my God.
Scott, did you ever come up with a storyline for the company?
I can tell you the only time, first off, I had only been in the business, even on the periphery, for about 5 years. I was in no place to offer any notes to anybody. I was just lucky to be allowed in the building without buying a ticket. And I knew my role, to coin a phrase. But I'm sitting there with John Tatum and Eddie Gilbert, and they were going to do a match one-on-one, heel versus heel. And they were trying to come up with a way to start the match because they're both heels and they're both outstanding. Yeah. They're both great at psychology. They both are terrific workers. What would those two characters do? And I suggested, how about you guys both come in, shake hands like baby faces do, and then try to gut kick each other like heels do. You know, be both babyface and heel at the same time and start the match, and then start stalking and work the match. And that's the only time I've ever had a wrestler get mad at me ever in being in this business for 40 years. And Eddie just about came unglued. You think you can book this company? You think you can work? Get in there and do it yourself. Sir, I'll be outside. So no, I didn't I didn't offer anything.
Wow.
Except one time with Eddie and John, and I learned my lesson.
Yeah, and I remember. I think I just watched that match like a little over a couple of hours ago. That was a television title tournament match.
Do you watch anything other than Global? I mean, Mad Men, no, I don't need to watch that. Wire, oh, heck no.
Craig,
Sopranos, no, I'm watching Global.
Dad.
Yeah. By the way, he's finally here. Let's welcome to the show, if I can add him correctly here. James Beard is here.
Who?
James
Never heard
Beard.
of it.
Who?
James, welcome to the show.
Never heard of him.
It looks great.
James,
It looks great. Sounds even better.
yeah.
Can he
still-
count to 3?
Yeah, there he is.
There he is.
What
The
happened,
witness
James? You have
protection
to go to the
program.
bank and make sure your check cleared?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh boy. Well, he was there, and now. Oh, here he is. Well, there's a ceiling.
There we
No
are.
computer monitor.
Hey, James.
Can you hear me?
We
Yeah.
can hear you.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right.
I'm having all kinds of problems today.
Yeah.
Like how to tell time?
Yeah, well, that's part of it. Yeah.
Can you count to 3?
4.
He sure could for me, Bill. I don't know about you, but boy, he could count to 3 for me.
All he ever did for me was run like hell.
How many lies have these guys told already?
I mean, I think they're telling the truth, but
Yeah, well,
like we just deciphered before, shortly before you came on the air. Apparently, all I ever watch is Global. But James, how did you become associated with the Global Wrestling Federation? How did you first get in?
well, I was there when it started. Akbar called me and said they had a new group come into the sportatorium and asked me if I wanted to be there. And I, just like these guys, I was ready to go.
Yeah. So I want to get into this because we talked about it the last time you were on the show.
Yeah.
And the boxing match with Bruce Pritchard.
Hey, there's the referee right there in the corner.
Oh, Bill?
It was a classic, I'm sure.
Is there footage of that somewhere?
Did I what?
Is there footage of that somewhere?
I'm afraid there is. I hope you don't find it.
Oh,
If anyone will, he will.
yeah. Oh, I'm such a mark. But so whose idea was that, James?
That was Eddie Gilbert.
Oh boy.
Yeah. He started that whole thing, and it was fun for a while, but it wasn't exactly classic wrestling or anything.
Now, earlier on, because I had read, because I have the complete collection of the Wrestling Observer from late '91. There was a Meltzer had written in the Observer that part of the office staff at the beginning of the company, the office staff was Joe was running it,
Yep.
and then you had working under him, you had Christopher Love, Bill Eadie, and Wild Bill Irwin. Do you remember Bill being in the office, or Bill Irwin being in the office?
Well, I remember Bill Eadie being there, and I know Christopher Love was there, but I didn't think he was a part of the office. I thought he was just part of the talent. And Bill's been around since caveman days, so that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. I mean, he's like, I don't remember being part of the office. I thought it was just a talent.
Yeah, well, I don't remember it either, but I mean, who knows? They may have thought you were, and you just didn't know it yourself.
Hey. I know nothing. I'm like Joe, I know nothing.
Bill Irwin.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of that going around in the wrestling business.
Yeah, I know nothing.
Yeah.
I've been hit in the head with steel chairs. I know nothing.
And horseshoes.
Yeah,
And
yeah. That's the office. I mean, that the office at Sportatorium changed so many times. It wasn't even funny.
Yeah. Well, you were part of it too, weren't you?
Well, at some point, but yeah. Everybody was. Everybody got their turn.
By proxy.
But the big question is, after we all left, who booked that damn bungee match?
It wasn't me. That was Greg Pearson idea.
bungee match.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, he wanted me to go up in that thing and referee the match. And I said, well, first of all, there's not going to be a match, and second of all, I'm not going up there. You know, so Akbar and I went in and watched it on the monitor.
Yeah, I remember because I talked to Chaz about that, and he actually talked about how much he enjoyed doing the match.
That shows you how smart Chaz is.
Remember I told the story a little earlier?
Yeah.
Oh, my Lord.
Uh-oh, somebody just kicked Rugged Rod out of the building.
Oh, they're talking, and he talked about me.
Would he give up the ghost? What's going on?
Yeah.
He got $5,000 for an hour. He's done.
Yeah.
He thought somebody was going to give him the book so he powdered.
I saw him try to adjust his phone. Maybe he accidentally hit the wrong button.
That's a possibility.
Yeah.
He fat fingered it.
Yeah. He's just like, all right, the check was only for an hour. It's been an hour and
Yeah. You need to put another quarter in the slot.
Yeah. So hopefully he can get back. Oh, hopefully he can get back on. But James, how were there any of like the finishes or the storylines that you came up with in Global that like stick out, like that stick out the most in your mind?
Oh God, I mean, I've got involved in a lot of different ones here and there. I think Bill probably did too. Several of us kind of contributed one thing or the other over the years, during not necessarily during the Penistino time. After that, really, I can't think of a specific thing, not so much. Just some of those angles that we did, Gray came up with, and we tried to work around them a little bit. But
and I've said this before, and I think I know Scott's heard me say it, that so many people remember Global fondly, but then there's the people who remember the Global after Joe and mix that into what we did, and it honestly is one of the few things that makes me mad.
I actually like the part after Joe.
You did?
I think we did a lot of good things. Yeah.
Well, I think maybe the bungee match is the thing that left a really sour taste.
Yeah, I mean,
but some of the things they did with David Webb, I just thought were awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty weird. But there were a lot of weird things that went on. But overall, there were a lot of good things too. That they gave a lot of guys an opportunity, to get a start and grow and get other opportunities. So there were a lot of good things.
Did debut some really, really amazing people. I remember the Harlem Heat or the Ebony Experience.
Yeah,
they were being interviewed as I was having my last day.
Yeah,
but having Bradshaw come in there, and y'all did debut some really good people. I just think it was the wrapping paper that was getting me so upset. California Stud looking at the ceiling again.
You do a run in.
Stud's getting high.
My finish.
Yeah.
Stud's getting high.
Sorry.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah, so it was a struggle sometimes, because there were different philosophies, I guess, in wrestling. going on, and we just kind of worked around a lot of that and tried to do what we could with what we had. Not a lot of money either. We didn't have a lot of money.
Yeah. Now, one of the things I also wanted to talk about, we talked about how they wanted to turn Rod and John Tatum babyface.
Well, that didn't work very. That didn't last long.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
We laughed about that.
Yeah. Sometimes those things work pretty well because usually if the fans have one emotion for you, whether they hate you or like you, you go the other way and they're going to feel the same way just as much that way. But in that case, it just didn't fit, and it's how you do it a lot of times too. If you're going to turn babyface, you got to get sympathy, and kind of hard. It's hard to have sympathy for John Tatum.
Even though he would pout all the time.
Yeah. And I don't mean that as a bad thing. It's just John, Yeah.
Oh, I love his facial expressions.
Oh, well, I did too, but they fit a heel a whole lot better than they did a baby face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what about and we were talking about this earlier, James, the decision to split up the Wild Bunch to turn Black Bart heel, was that kind of just like saying Bart's better as a heel?
I could have been the reasoning. I can't remember exactly. When you have a limited number of really experienced veterans like Bill and Rod and Bart and a couple other guys, you get to a point where you kind of run out of ideas going one direction. You try to go a different direction sometimes. And that's just what happens. I'm sure Bill probably went back and forth a couple of times during that period too, and it worked with him because he could do that. For Rod and John, it just wasn't a fit. But that some guys can go work either side of the fence, and if you do it the right way, it's going to be fine. But we tried to have some veterans in there with some of the younger guys all the time, and sometimes you have to work them around a little bit before you can do that. And that may have been why they did that with Bart. I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah. Doug, I got to tell you, I get the feeling that the split up of the Wild Bunch impacted you kind of like Hogan joining the NWO. I mean, that really seems to have made an impact on you.
Yeah, because I brought it up 5 times already.
Wild Bunch night.
Yeah, no. When they broke up, it broke my heart. It really did. As a matter of fact, when they broke up, I actually started watching something else.
That's the whole group with Jeff. What crap? Jeff.
Race.
Jeff Race.
Yeah, Race. He was in that bout, right?
Yeah.
And that may have been some of it. I don't know. Jeff was a great guy, had a great look, but he never really quite got it, psychology wise.
Yeah.
And he was a little bit awkward too, working with him. So it's sometimes you just you get guys, you try to put them in different situations and see if something works.
Yeah. I'll tell you, Scott, the only thing that really affected me as a wrestling fan more than the Wild Bunch breaking up is when Sting. Well, 2 other things: Sting turning heel in WCW in '99, and just a couple months earlier than that, when Rick Steiner beat you up on Nitro. It really affected me because
that affected my mother too, because she didn't know it was coming. I was upbraided for that, for not letting her know.
Oh boy!
How did I miss that?
Yeah,
I had Terry Funk chasing after me, and he gets beat up by Rick Steiner.
That was just one of those things, and because Tony Schiavone had been taken off of Nitro, and they wanted Scott to be the new play-by-play guy with Bobby Heenan. And then all of a sudden, Rick Steiner beats up Scott, and then you're on what? You got back on Thunder, right?
I know we're talking global, but the quick story is they just wanted Tony off for 2 weeks.
Huh.
And they asked me to step in, and of course, I'll do it. And for better or for worse, the ratings went up when I came on. And it wasn't like stratospheric, it was just increased. So they said, we can't just all of a sudden have these new viewers. You're here, and then you're gone. So find a way to get you off. So, and how about we have Rick beat you up? And I said, terrific, and that's what happened.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. So we'll go back. We'll go back to global, but I'm also I'm as big a WCW Mark as I am global Mark. So I had to
you cheater.
Global was only around for 3 years. I had to fill the rest of my childhood somehow.
I would have loved to have filled some of my adult life with WCW, but Bischoff said I'd have to be cut off at the fucking knees. And that is a direct quote from Eric Bischoff in order to work for WCW. But here was the really strange thing. Scott, how many times were you standing up next to a wrestler when you announced?
Standing up or
standing up, meaning making them look small. You were always at a desk.
Yeah,
I could have always stayed at a desk.
Apart. I'm only 6'1", but I was still taller, so I had to make myself small. Just yeah, that was an issue. And you're, what are you, 6'4", 6'5"? I mean, that was.
I'm 6'4". Yeah.
I tell you what, you guys would really have a problem these days. About 90% of the wrestlers look like they're about 5'6" or 7.
Still
Be up to your belly
size.
button, correct?
There you go. There you go, John.
Look at that hair. God, I had to perm that hair at one point because it was so out of control. But
that was my first wedding.
Oh, that was your first wedding? Oh, wow. I did not do the heel thing and say that they shouldn't be married, although possibly that would have been a good thing.
I wish you had. I wish somebody had, but
you could have done the same for mine.
All right. Well, moving on. So another I feel like we haven't talked about, because I do want to bring him up because he was an awesome worker and he did a heck of a program with Eddie Gilbert. Terry Garvin or Terry Sims.
Right. Yeah.
He was so underrated, and he had the stuff with him and Eddie. I remember when Eddie threw the fire. Now, did you guys get in trouble with ESPN for that?
Didn't get in trouble, but they wouldn't show it.
Oh, they wouldn't show it?
They just cut away from that.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a very funny story about that. I knew a sportscaster in Seattle on KJR radio by the name of CJ Silas. She now actually is a talk show host down in the valley near Los Angeles, and actually has been a PA announcer for Major League Baseball at a couple of different parks. And the reason I bring that person up is CJ Silas was the one that actually had to monitor every Global Wrestling Federation show for what ESPN had to take out of it. And so I actually would go on to meet the person who had to censor all of our stuff. And she said, yep, every time somebody picked up a chair or fire or anything, we had a whole set of crowd shots that we would just keep going back to.
Yeah, it was kind of frustrating to watch that. But, that was just their philosophy, I guess, about things. That been shown at 3:30 in the afternoon or something like that. And they thought it was too extreme for kids, I guess.
And look how much different it is now. We have cussing in the middle of the afternoon on ESPN.
Yeah. Yeah, and the amazing thing is how popular it got with all those kids and everything. Even with that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm, a
Did Bill
good
go pee? Is that what happened?
huh?
Did Bill take off and go pee or something or what?
I'm thinking
He's going down to get his 10-foot whip out of the basement.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think he's coming. Yep, there he is.
There he is.
I'm back.
Refueled and ready to go.
There
There goes Doug. Let's go more.
Oh, there's Terry.
There we go.
Picture of
Oh,
Terry.
yeah, that was great. Les brother. Number 2.
What
Now-
was so amazing about Terry is how he was able to get so much heat when he was doing the color commentary with Lawrence as part of Beauty and the Beast. But it turns out he is just one of the nicest people in the world. I know Bob Hazelwood, who was a member of Front Row Section D in the Sportatorium version of it. Those two became really good friends. Did a global podcast for a little while. But yeah, Terry was just such a nice guy, and would always compliment you, and would always be one of those people that would be genuinely worried about if you're doing okay.
Yeah, really underrated worker. He was. When he came into that first gimmick with the Beauty and the Beast thing, it was that was pretty weird. But and to change his name and change his whole persona, without really leaving and coming back, he was just there and did that. Pretty amazing. But he got over,
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember because I've actually had a conversation. Terry's actually how Bob Hazelwood and I actually met. Because I did a fan segment, or like I won a fan contest to have a half-hour conversation with Terry. And Bob's just like, oh, don't worry, it's going to be part of one of the episodes. And I think it was like a 3-minute clip. So I got my 3 minutes of fame. But
you got 12 to go then.
Yeah,
had a lot of fun working with Terry and Eddie Gilbert. When they were working against each other, and then when we did that angle you were talking about with the boxing match and everything with Bruce Richards, then we tagged up together, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Echo's starting again.
Yeah.
So
Breaker.
Hey, Doug, I'm going to have to go.
okay.
Guys, it was just wonderful talking to everybody.
Thanks, Ron.
Rod, thank you very much for being on.
15th.
See you, Junior.
All right. Love y'all. Bye-bye.
Love you.
All right. Thank you to Rod Scott for being on. All right, there we go. So, all right. Does anybody have any other stories they want to tell before we get out of here?
Oh, I've said it before. I'll say it again. Working with Scott, since he's on with us, was just always a pleasure. I mean, I can't watch Mystery Science Theater 3000 without thinking of our global days. A century of pride and tradition in downtown Winnetka. And my favorite one, this is your first grade teacher. Don't do it. But the lifelong friendships that I got from Global, from literally, and USWA, from literally being in the business for 2.5 years, and people still will remind me of times that they were watching at 4 o'clock. It's incredible. And I had no idea that short amount of time would make such a huge difference in my life.
James, I'm looking around for my whip.
I wish you'd learn how to work that damn thing.
I worked it every time I snapped it on your ass.
Yeah, right. You were always about 6 inches too long with it.
No. You were always 6 inches too short.
Oh man.
Well, listen, I'm gonna bow out with Rod Price.
All right.
You guys
Well,
have a
thank you
nice.
so much for being
Thanks, Bill.
on.
Great seeing you.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
We will talk again.
All right.
See you, Bill.
Beautiful, sir.
All right, bye.
Thank you.
James,
so much.
before we wrap up, I wanted to tell you how much I enjoyed your book.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
There's not a wrestling book that comes out that I don't read cover to cover.
I've actually got another one finished. I'm trying to do the proofreading on it right now.
Awesome. I'll pick it up too. But
Yeah.
yours was great because it was where we all were. So I could really, I can read somebody's book about the AWA. Well, I wasn't there, but your stuff I knew, and it was wonderful.
Well, the second one's got a lot more global stuff in it. I didn't get around to a lot of that in the first one. Most of it was personality type things and all, but this one's a little bit more with that and a lot of Japan stuff and that kind of thing.
Great. The stuff you wrote about Chris Adams was hard to read.
Yeah.
It was very well done.
Thank you. Those kinds of things are hard to do when you're trying to tell the truth and still not be too severe about it. It's tough.
Yeah.
James, what has been the key to your longevity? Because my gosh, you're still as busy as you've ever been.
Part of it is I just love the business. That's part of it. Part of it is, I've tried to, I've tried to expand, my worth, I guess, and beyond just being in the ring and doing more things, that are involved behind the scenes and that kind of thing, which is really mostly what I do now. I think that's a lot of it, and just I don't know. I've just tried to be really good at what I do, and hopefully, people appreciate that. That's all I can. That's all I know. They keep calling me and want me to do things, so
Much deserved.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I just, like I said, I love the business and try to give back, and that's part of it too. I'm really involved in the Traeger Hall of Fame, and that's another one of those passions, I guess, and it keeps me busy and out there.
I mean, trust me, I'm happy. The echoing went away. I think I had too many
had something to do with Bill.
Yeah, you know what? I think I may have had too many people on the show. But no, I mean, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I had you guys on. And James, I'll tell you, I'm grateful every time you pick up the phone when I call. I mean, it's only been twice.
Well, I'm sorry we're running late. It's been a crazy day for me. I've had a lot of things going on, and I got looked down and went, oh my God, I'm late. And here we are.
Yeah. Well, no, I appreciate you coming on. I mean, I appreciate all you guys. I mean, we can make jokes and, please keep doing so. Make jokes about how I'm obsessed with this company.
There's nothing wrong with that. Man, I'll be honest with you. I'm proud of having been involved with Global and both parts of it, and knowing the people I got to know and working with the people I got to work with, including these two guys here. I mean, it's part of my fondest memories, really, of being there. And I wish, I was back and forth from Japan a lot during those days. And I missed out on some things, but man, I always loved being home and being at the Sportatorium and working with all those wonderful people.
Was it you that brought me the Ribera Steakhouse jacket?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always wore that with such great pride because I felt like I was one of the boys.
Yeah, I've had one for, good Lord, 30 something, however long ago that was, way back then. And still got it hanging in my closet. Once in a while, I'll drag it out and put it on, but not very often. But I went back over there. I was 4 or 5 years ago, I guess, with an NWA show, and went to Ribera's with a couple of guys that had never been there, and they gave them jackets, and the owner's son was there, and he remembered me, and and he took me out to the center of the room, and this is the old Ribera's, the original one, and he pointed up to the ceiling, and there's a picture there of myself with Randy Savage and Haku and Jim Neidhart, and it's been hanging there for 30-something years, and it's right dead center in the middle of the ceiling now.
That's
So
a group.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
I mean, and I got to say that this has been an honor for me to have all you guys on. I apologize for the audio issues.
Oh yeah.
That is a great picture. But I'll tell you, like, because Global was a big part of my childhood. And then when ESPN Classic started re-airing the episodes back in 2013, I kind of got to go back to being a kid again. I mean, until I saw the Wild Bunch break up, and then it really just
it was over. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just like, I don't know if I can do this anymore.
I'm sorry that affected you so badly. You
know what? I don't even know why. But I think it was just because, like, I was just such a fan of the group, or of Bill and Bart being together.
Yeah.
I was a huge fan of that 2 out of 3 fall match where they won the tag titles. I mean, unfortunately, Scott didn't call that match. That was Craig and Bruce Pritchard, because Bruce was awaiting. It was basically just kind of, waiting for his timeout from Vince McMahon to end.
Yeah. That was an interesting time. Yeah.
It was.
Eddie Gilbert's the one that brought him in, right?
Yes. Yeah. Bruce was pretty depressed when he got there. He'd been asked to leave McMahonville for a while, and he didn't really know if he was going to ever get back or not. And Eddie called him and gave him something to do, and we had a lot of fun together while he was there. It was a good deal.
Yeah. A lot of fun with that boxing match. Now, what if, like, in an alternate reality, if it would have switched and Chaz and Stephen Dane did the boxing match and you and Bruce had to do the bungee match?
That wouldn't happen. You wouldn't have a bungee match to talk about. Because I guarantee you, Bruce and I are smart enough not to do that.
Yeah. But yeah, no, Chaz, when he was on, because he was on the show back when we were just an audio show, about a year and a half ago, I think it was, and he talked about how much he loved the match.
Oh, I'm sure he did. He got a lot of notoriety out of it. But the thing is I told Gray when they came up with that idea, I said, Gray, first of all, he wanted to put a camera inside there and all this stuff, and I said, technically, this is not going to work. It's just, if something's going to happen, it's going to screw it up, And sure enough, before they even got to the top, the camera went out. So all you could see is what they shot from the ground. And I mean, how are you going to have a match in a box like that? All that far off the ground, and it got a lot of notoriety. I give it that. But as far as something being really good, I don't know about that. That'd be a stretch.
But just think about now, they would have a GoPro in the little cage.
Yeah.
And then they would have like drones hovering around.
Oh yeah,
hung from the crane, and
absolutely,
that would be one of those Jeremy Borash cinematic matches.
And GoPros on the wrestlers themselves.
Yeah, with drones you could probably do something like that, but nobody knew what a drone was back in those days.
Yeah. Well, and scaffold matches had a lot of the same problems too.
Yes, yeah.
Can you imagine doing those now?
Have you ever seen a scaffold match that was really good?
No.
The only thing good about it is when somebody falls off and breaks their leg. That's it.
That's what they want to see.
I wouldn't exactly call that good.
Well, I'm talking about as far as interesting, I guess. But yeah.
Well, didn't Cornette blow out his knee?
He did.
Both of them.
And that may have been the first one. I'm not sure, but it may have been the first one.
Night of the Skywalkers. I remember.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And Hawk worked that match with a broken leg. They broke it in Japan. And missed the shot.
Yeah, I mean, and what's the point in something like that, really? I mean, it doesn't prove anything other than you fall off a scaffold. You know, I like gimmick matches are good when they're set up and they're done well and they mean something. Stuff like that's just done, you know, for the I guess the hot shot of it, you know, the spot. But to me, it's got to make sense, and that didn't make sense.
Right. Or what about the scaffold match? It was a WCW show. It was Steve Austin and Terry Taylor versus PN News and Bobby Eaton. And you could win the match by just going and capturing the other team's flag.
Right.
Because they were, well, first of all, PN News is 450 pounds.
Right. Yeah.
Like he did not, he should not have been up there.
Yeah. I mean, you're just asking for disaster to happen. It's a wonder it didn't happen before. Just like the thing with Owen, you know? I mean, some of those things are just unnecessary. They really are.
Yeah. But before we go, there is one person we have not mentioned, and I feel like he should get mentioned. One half of the Dirty Davis brothers, Mike Davis.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's just a wonderful guy, man.
Coming on there, Craig?
Is he still looking for me?
Yeah. Mike passed away a few years ago.
Yeah.
But he was a great guy, and that gimmick was nuts. He loved it though. He loved doing that.
And it's been so much fun looking back on old Georgia tapes because like you, Doug, when it's late night, I'm usually watching old wrestling. Like there's one channel that has like great wrestling moments from the 70s, and I think I've gone through all 84 parts of it.
Wow.
But seeing Mike Davis back in the old Georgia days when he was just a kid, it's amazing. What a wonderful man. He was just so great, and God, it was with the possible exception of Jeff Gaylord. Was there anybody who wasn't just a kind person in that locker room?
Everybody got along. Yeah, a lot of good folks. I can't think of anybody that really caused any problems or anything. You know, that everybody got along really well and worked hard, and there's a lot of talent there.
And I got to give a lot of credit to Akbar for that.
Yep,
because he was like the father figure. He kept everybody together, and people trusted him.
Yeah,
I miss that guy.
Yeah, Ak was a special guy. He really did a lot for me. I mean, of course, I learned a lot from him to begin with, and riding with him and being around him all the time. And you know, I'd be gone for several weeks at a time to Japan and stuff, and come back, and he'd always, you know, he'd keep my place warm for me, and usually have me booked somewhere when I got back. So he's just a great guy, a great friend, and so many people just learn from him. You hear it from all kinds of guys.
I'll leave with an Akbar story. My first day at USWA, and Akbar comes in and goes, "Craig, it's very nice to have you here." I said, "Ak, thank you very much. I've always enjoyed your work." He goes, "I'm going to be debuting a new wrestler next week, and I'd really like you to put him over. He's a Russian." I said, "Oh." He said, "Yeah, his name is Ivan. I'm going to spell out his last name for you because I want you to be able to spell it phonetically. It's Yearkanov." And I said, "Okay." And there's no way in hell you're going to get me to say that Ivan Yurkanov. And that was my first day with Akbar at USWA.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a jokester sometimes. That's funny.
Yeah. He was definitely he was definitely one of the best managers, I think, to never like make it to WWE.
He didn't need to. He was doing amazing things everywhere else. So
yeah, I don't really think he ever wanted to. You know, he just, you know, he liked it where he was and what he was doing, and you know, he's one of those guys that just loved the business. I feel really blessed that I had so much time with him, and he was such a good friend. And you know, we and Gary Hart was there. You know, he was another one. We had great managers.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to have to call it a night, Doug. it's great, Scott, seeing you. I hope I'll be in Atlanta sometime soon. James,
on.
amazing seeing you. You
Yeah,
are
you too.
always first class with me, and
Thank
I
you, guys.
always enjoy following your stuff. And Doug, there are other things in the world than global wrestling.
Well,
So I
you know
hope
what?
you discover them.
Like late,
Don't ruin it for him, John.
It bears pointing out, Doug, that the three of us remember where we were when John Lennon got killed and when the shuttle blew up. And you remember where you were when the Wild Bunch broke up.
There
Exactly.
you go.
yeah.
There you go.
And Craig, thank you so much for being on the show. And I'll tell you, I have been actually splitting my time between watching Global and watching a lot of cartoons because I have a cartoon podcast that I do as well. So sometimes it's kind of hard to tell the difference between the two. But Craig, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you, Doug. Thanks for having us, James. Great to see you. I'll get your
You
next
too.
book.
You bet. Love you guys.
All right.
Love
All
you too.
right.
Take care.
All right.
See you
We'll
guys.
see everybody.
Good
So we will see everybody next week on the Unscripted Wrestling. Actually, no, I will not be on the podcast next week. I will actually be spending Halloween handing out candy to trick-or-treaters, but Dangle and Eric will be back. James, again, thank you for being on the show. Thank you, everybody. Scott Hudson, Wild Bill, Rod Price, Jon Horton for being on. Make sure to like and subscribe to the Wrestling Through the Years YouTube channel. When Tunes Combine tomorrow night, big main event or on the Animated Hour of Power next week with the Looney Tunes taking on Futurama. Also, Code Geass versus Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, Mr. Bean the Animated Series versus Mr. Bean the Animated Series versus the New Kids on the Block cartoon. And also on the show tomorrow night, or on Animated Hour of Power tomorrow night, will be Chalk Zone versus Legend of Tarzan. Also, make sure to like and subscribe to the Digital 97, Daniel's Gaming Universe, the Stabcast with Daniel and Mindy, Eric's Unscripted Sports Show. And thank you, everybody. Thank you to all the guests tonight. And we'll see everybody next week.